Hungry and Naked. Coming up next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Agape, unconditional love. Folks, in this mug, I'm drinking a little HEADBANGERS brew this morning, as always. Always a good way to wake up in the morning. HEADBANGERS brew. And of course, you can get it in 9 different blends, different sizes, shapes. We got the K-cups. All of our mugs, all of our posters, all of our t-shirts right here. We are metal, we are family.com. Dear Pastor Bob, a friend of mine is soon to be homeless. He's been out of work for over 6 months and is unable to find work to keep any kind of roof over his head. He's been staying with his cousin, but his cousin is in the process of moving. I was wondering if you have any opportunities for him to have a place to stay. He needs a fresh start. Is there any way that Sanctuary can help? Can you put him in touch with a homeless shelter? You know, I love that people have a burden for homeless and for people that are marginalized and having a difficult time. This person that he's talked about is marginalized. In other words, he's temporary in some place. Here in Nashville, they estimate that there are probably 30,000 people who are marginalized. And a very high percentage of them will become homeless at some point. It's the way it works, yeah. So what do? Where do they go? Well, they live on somebody's couch, they live in somebody's garage, and then when everything else fails, they're on the streets. And you may sit there and say, as many people do, why don't they just get a job? Why don't they just work? Sometimes it's not that simple. What if you are kind of on your own? You don't have family to take you in. And what if you lose your birth certificate? You lose your driver's license, your ability to get around, whatever. What if you lose the very things that help to make things easier to live? And to get a job, what kind of skill do you have? What kind of job openings are there within that skill set? And then how many of us, honestly, are living from paycheck to paycheck? And if that paycheck stops coming in and you don't have any backup, what do you do? And what happens if you don't have a good community, a good safety net, people around you that, if I ever totally lost it, I have family that would take me in and friends that would take me in. But what if you don't? So there are a lot of people that are in this situation. And as a Christian, something happens inside of me that desires to care for other people. And it's agape. It's God's love that I begin to feel for others around me. It's a big deal. And that's why he's telling these people that the reason that they feel this way about other people is because of him, because of his relationship with them. And he says, this is what you're doing. Let's go to Matthew chapter 25 and read it there, starting with verse 35. And he says, and you probably read this before, for I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you brought me together with yourselves, and welcomed and entertained and lodged me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me with help and ministering care. I was in prison, and you came to see me. And then the just and the upright will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry or gave you food or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcomed and entertained you, or naked and clothed you? And when did we see you sick or in prison or came to visit you? And the king will reply to them, truly I tell you, insofar as you did it for one of the least in the estimation of men, one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it for me. He says, because when you do it for these, you do it for me. Now, I get mail like this all the time. People saying, I have a friend, or I have a cousin, or I have a brother, or I have this guy I know on the streets, and can you help him? And I'm always willing to help. But folks, you know, when you look at the shelters that are out there and the number of homeless people, in many cities, it's 50 to 100 times the number of homeless people to the resources that are actually there to help them. Seriously, it's a big deal. Where do they go? A homeless shelter? Good luck. The waiting list might be a year long to get in, seriously. So what do? Well, you do what these Christians that Jesus is talking to did. You take them in. You figure it out. You decide what you can do to help someone. And it's not just taking them off the street. Sometimes it's helping someone find a job and assisting them until it happens. Sometimes it's simply taking care of them in another location and saying, let me pay your rent for the first month so you can get in. Sometimes it's taking care of their needs physically. Food is a big deal. It's what we do mostly. Distributing food to a lot of different ministries who take care of them. And then, of course, the things that we do one-on-one with people as well. There's so many things we can be involved with. What is your part of that? What is your niche with that? And when you figure that out, folks, we're all part of a greater solution. So the solution to our welfare problem isn't the government. Taking care of the homeless isn't the government. Feeding people who are hungry isn't the government. It's the church's responsibility. It's yours. It's mine. I hope that's an inspiration to you, but I hope it's an inspiration to get involved as well. Don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.